How are we doing, everyone? It's Preflight here, where I'm continuing on Jake's list series. This is going to be my list series. So, probably as Jake has described in his video, the way these are going to work is he's going to give his personal top 10, I'm going to give mine, and then we're going to debate about it on Fridays. This is what we decided to do to not only put more videos out for you guys, but to make things a little interesting. Have some arguments in there. So I haven't looked at Jake's video. I have no idea anything about his video. But what I'm doing is giving my personal top 10 quarterbacks of the 2014 season upcoming. So basically, it's how we rate them right now. We'll try to, I'm not really sure how Jake explained it, but we're going to try to take into effect some of the past history, but it's mostly how they rank up right now. Not entirely based on last year, but just the quarterback himself, how they rank. So I have created my own top 10 list, and so let's get started. So I just like to preference this by saying, again, I have not looked at Jake's list, so I have no idea what he had. I can guess that he probably had the top 4 quarterbacks are going to probably be exactly the same as my top 4 quarterbacks, which are Peyton Manning at number 1, and I swear to God, if there's anyone out there that's like, well, Tom Brady's one more super, I don't care. Peyton Manning is the best quarterback right now. If you disagree with me, there is something mentally wrong with you. I don't know how you can possibly think anyone else is better than him right now. He is unbelievable, and everyone is saying, well, he's on the Broncos and he's got all those weapons. Well, wait a minute. Eric Decker did nothing until Tim Tebow got there. Yeah, he had Wes Welker, but, at the same time, Wes Welker had Tom Brady, so, yeah, he had Wes Welker, I'll give you that. And then if you look at Demaryius Thomas, he's good, but he wasn't as good as he possibly could be until Peyton Manning got there. Not to mention, he turned Julius Thomas, the tight end, into a superstar. So, there you go. Peyton Manning can turn people who may not be that good into unbelievable superstars. He is a better quarterback than Tom Brady is. Hands down. Tom Brady is second, though, however. And Tom Brady, it's pretty obvious that he would be, the next quarterback up. This last year, his stats may not have been as good. Still led the Patriots to the playoffs. And he still did good, even with a really shitty receiver core. You had Danny Amendola, who got hurt for pretty much the entire season. He was on and off constantly. He didn't do that much anyways. He only had 600-something yards. Julian Edelman, who Tom Brady basically created out of Wes Welker's liking as the next slot receiver for that team. Kembrell Tompkins, Aaron Dobson, Josh Boyce, just a bunch of rookies that basically Tom Brady made look extremely good, and they didn't do that great, but thanks to Tom Brady, they did great. And Rob Gronkowski wasn't there that often, and people say, well, he is Rob, like he said, he is Rob Gronkowski. Yeah, Tom Brady was good before Rob Gronkowski. He made players into something before Rob. Okay, I won't deny that Rob has unbelievable talent, but let's see how he would have done with someone like Christian Ponder throwing him the ball, or any of these other quarterbacks. Tom Brady is amazing at spreading the ball around to different receivers and being able to let anyone experience the joy of scoring a touchdown. Same thing with making Shane Vereen a good running back, or Stephen Ridley, LeGarrette Blount, or Brandon Bolden. I love that running back core. Now that LeGarrette's gone, though, it's completely different, but still. Tom Brady has made that team. He is clearly second. Next up, Drew Brees. I think it's pretty obvious. Drew Brees is probably the most accurate passer in the league right now, hands down. And he doesn't have the greatest receiving core either. Yes, he has Marcus Colston, but he was an undrafted free agent at the time. And Drew Brees helped him develop his career into something unbelievable. So you have that. You have Kenny Stills, who's, again, Drew Brees made these players. Yes, he has Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham is a great talent, but you could say the same thing with Rob Gronkowski. How would he have been with a different person? And this whole thing with Jimmy Graham possibly being a receiver and tight end and getting more money, you shouldn't give someone more money based off of their position. All the positions in the league are equal. Okay, they all have an equal responsibility that if they were not there, the offense couldn't function. Nothing can function. If you take out the left guard and you had just 4 people on the offensive line, you'd get slaughtered. It's the same thing if you take out the quarterback. Yeah, you'd have no one to hike the ball, or you'd have the running back just do a bunch of direct snaps. It's the same thing. People are so on about how the quarterback is the team and stuff. Football is a team sport. You know what that means? That means everyone is involved. So, to think that you can just single out a quarterback and say, well, quarterback wins. He didn't win enough games. Like Tom Brady, how he has 3 Super Bowl rings. And they say, well, those are Tom Brady's rings, and Tom Brady won those 3 Super Bowls. No, the team won those Super Bowls. And you know the defense on that Patriots team? It was unbelievable with Teddy Bruschi. You had Rodney Harrison, you had Ty Law, who I think got 11 picks in a game, or not a game, in a season with the Patriots. I'm not sure if it was with the Patriots or with the Jets when he was with the Jets that one time. I mean, Richard Seymour, at one point Vince Wilfork when he was on the team. I mean, just an unbelievable, Willie McGinnis, just unbelievable players on that defense. So you really can't just pin it all on Tom. He did a lot, and he helped out a lot. But there were a lot of good players on the team. It's a team sport, right? And Drew Brees fits that model. I remember watching his post-game kind of talk with the team after he broke the record for most passing yards in a season, and he said, I don't want this to be on me. This is a team sport. I want someone to say, yeah, I caught balls for that guy, or I blocked for that guy. Because it's true. It's a team sport. And Drew Brees is not only a model of excellency, he is one of the most precision passers in the league. Probably the most precise quarterback in the league. And he's number 3, easily. And you could say for these top 3 guys, well, they're getting older. Well, who cares, okay? The thing is, you can't base a quarterback on their future potential. You can't base any position off their future potential, because they can break their leg and that would be it. You look at Peyton Manning now, and you have to look at a little bit of his past history at least, and he's been unbelievable. And you can say he's in the prime of his career after breaking not only the touchdown record, but most passing yards record. You can say he's in the prime of his career. I don't care if he's 38 years old. Look at what he just accomplished. It's unbelievable. Yes, he had a great team around him to help him out, but it doesn't matter. He has such great talent, and he's just been so unbelievable for so many years that you have to look at that even if he did get hurt for the rest of his career, like in the preseason, and then that was it for him, you can still go back and say he's one of the great quarterbacks. If you said that if Russell Wilson did that now, broke his leg, and then he had a career-ending injury, God forbid, I wouldn't want that to happen to him. I like Russell Wilson. He's a nice guy, but if that happened to him, no one would look back and say that about him. They would just say, "Oh, what an opportunity missed on the poor guy. He was off to do great things." It's just like how there's so much hype around Johnny Manziel. He hasn't even taken a snap, people. He hasn't even taken a snap. He could literally get a concussion and be done for the rest of the year. And would you still have the same hype about him? Probably not. That's why these older quarterbacks who have better stats and are still producing today are the best, because they're producing even better than the younger guys. They're just basing, a lot of these experts are just basing it off of future potential, which isn't right. So, number 4, Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, you could say, is doing better than Drew Brees right now. But he's also, let me think, 5 or 6 years younger. Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback. He did get hurt last season. So, there's that. And his season was kind of cut short. And the Packers barely made the playoffs. So, you can tell right away, what type of, what it means to the Packers to have Aaron Rodgers. He's already won a Super Bowl. He's a great quarterback. I think he's going to be fantastic. I think he could be a future Hall of Famer. He's just got to keep up the production. We'll see how he does after he gets off of his injury. He did great the game he came back and won against the Bears to go to the playoffs. He did fantastic. It was a great game. So, no doubt about it, he's a good quarterback, and he's definitely the best next quarterback He will be number 4. And you know what? When Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, and Drew Brees retire, he will be that next top guy. He definitely will. But they haven't retired yet, and they're still producing better than him. A little bit. Not really. I mean, Peyton Manning did. Peyton Manning did better than Aaron Rodgers. And this year, all of them did because he got hurt. So, now, those are the 4 that most people would say are in the top 4. No one really just, argue with me about that. That's not where the fun comes in. It's the next 6 picks. A lot of people aren't sure what to do here. So let me lay it out for you. I'm going to try to continue with my theme of past history and what people have already produced and how they're producing currently all comes into effect. Not basing things off of future potential. That's not a good way to look at things. It just isn't. It's why I never understood people who dump their roster for young guys. You can't base it off of future potential. You need to have some experience in there. You need to have people who can teach young guys. That's the other thing, too. They can't just teach on their own. All right? I mean, look at Josh Gordon. Okay, Josh Gordon led the league in receiving last year, but because he had no veteran... Well, I don't know if it was because of this, but I think a big part of why he's been getting in trouble lately is probably because he had no veteran leadership on that receiving core to help him out. He had Devon Bass, who was a bust and has gotten arrested himself. Not the best role model to look up to. He's only 23. You need people to help you out, all right? You always need help in any profession. You can't just expect to do things. So, Aaron Rodgers is number 4, but number 5 is Ben Roethlisberger. Hands down. He's won 2 Super Bowls already. One of them, you can argue, yeah, he won that because of the defense. The defense was unbelievable. He really just had to manage that game, honestly. He didn't even win MVP. Hines Ward did, and it was off a pass from Antoine Randall L. So it wasn't even Ben who was throwing that one. So, yeah, defense was a big part in that. That team was already, headed to the Super Bowl already. They just needed the Patriots to go down, and they beat them. So, hey, but that team was already good. But the next Super Bowl he won, Big Ben really shined. Now, he didn't win MVP either, but that was probably because of the good catch by Santonio Holmes, so they gave it to him because he had a good catch. But think about it this way. Ben Roethlisberger, since taking over that team, has taken a team that has gotten older and older. Their defense has diminished. They've gotten rid of a few guys on offense that have, well, not really gotten rid of, but they've retired as Steelers, and he's still producing at quarterback. He's definitely now the leader of that team. After Hines Ward has left, Jerome Bettis left, James Harrison has left, Troy Polamalu's still on the team. So there's something. But with all these people leaving, you have Ben Roethlisberger left. He's a great quarterback who still has a great arm. He's mobile, surprisingly, and he's big. That means he's difficult to tackle. That's always a plus at quarterback. You don't want some skinny guy like Mike Glennon, who's 6'7", like 110, who's going to get dominated. I mean, you have some guy with some bulk, because then they won't get injured as much if they have a little bit of bulk on them. You have to remember, quarterbacks are athletes too. They're going to get hit, and no matter what the refs do to protect them, or Rodgers' stupid-ass Goodell does to protect the quarterbacks, they're going to get hit. They're athletes. They should get hit. Not, career-threatening hit, but they should get hit. They're quarterbacks. They're athletes. They've been training for this. You're trying to protect them. And it's not, I don't think that's right, that you should be trying to protect the quarterback. Because, yes, that's the offensive line's job, not the ref's job, to protect the quarterback. So that's my viewpoint on that. All right, they're athletes. They can handle it. Trust me. All right, not all of them are skinny little guys who don't know what to do, and all they know what to do is throw a football. They have some bulk on them, like Ben Roethlisberger. He's taken some hits in his day, and he's been fantastic. Okay, yes, he's gotten injured before, but he always comes back. He doesn't leave for too long if he does get injured. He's always back out there. And he's still producing. And, with the drop, with the receivers that have gone off, like Hines Ward and Plex, who have both, they both left him. And Heath Miller, who kind of has just been, plateauing, even declining a bit as of late. He's still producing for that team, and he still keeps them in tries to keep them in the playoff hunt. you know. And even though their defense is older now and it's not really as experienced, and they're starting to lose games, they're not making the playoffs as like how they used to. Ben Roethlisberger's still producing for that team, and he's gotten better and better. And I don't expect him to get any worse. So he is definitely my number 5. Number 6. Now, these two guys, Ben Roethlisberger and this guy, I'm always trying to figure out who's better, but I'm basing it off of the fact that Ben can move and he's bigger, whereas this guy cannot. And this guy is Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers is a fantastic quarterback. I love Phillip Rivers because he has such great arm and accuracy, and he's been making these receivers in this team, like Malcolm Floyd, when Vincent Jackson was on the team, Vincent Jackson. He's been making these receivers that are coming up and playing very well. Vincent Brown, kinda. I mean, I guess you could say Vincent Brown. Keenan Allen. And he had this resurgence this past year. And it's been unbelievable. And he's just such a good quarterback, and he's so competitive. The only problem is he can't really move very much, which is fine. You know, you look at Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, none of them can move. But they're still better quarterbacks than someone like Aaron Rodgers, who can move better. Not as well, but better. And all four of them can move slower than someone like Russell Wilson or Colin freaking Kaepernick, who I can't freaking stand. I'm just saying that right now. Can't stand Colin Kaepernick. Probably my least favorite starting quarterback in the league. Probably. But anyways, moving on, going to Phillip Rivers. He has made the Chargers a much better team, obviously, and with the loss of LaDainian Tomlinson, 4 or 5 years ago, he has been the Chargers franchise, and he's been unbelievable. He continues to play, and he continues to get better and better. Now, a couple years ago, he did have, that incident where he's been, people were getting upset because he's throwing a lot of picks. But if you look, he didn't throw that many picks, and he still threw more touchdowns than picks, which is something. And he still throws for a lot of yards. And this year, I don't see why they won't go to the playoffs again. I mean, they got a great team, I think. You have Keenan Allen now as receiver. You have Antonio Gates, who's been always stellar. I mean, he's been getting injured these past few years, but he's helping. And Phillip Rivers also doesn't get injured very often. And the one time he did get injured, he tore his ACL, and he played through it. He played a great game. Now, like I said, he continues to play, and you know what else helped that? Because he was under Drew Brees for a few years. That's also why Aaron Rodgers was so good. For 3 years, he was underneath Brett Favre, while Brett Favre, before he retired and then came back and retired and came back and all that crap. He was under him, learning, figuring out the game. Even though he was a first-round pick, both of them were. They learned the game, they figured out their team, they figured out their playbook, and they came out and they did great. And that's why I can't stand it when people are like, well, why isn't this quarterback producing right away? Because he's in college. College and the NFL are completely freaking different, okay? It is much more difficult to adapt. You need 2 or 3, or sometimes for some people 4 seasons of not playing in the league to really get out there and produce. It's very rare to see anyone do that. Before Andrew Luck, I can only think of one other person that might have done that, and that was Dan Marino, who immediately made this immediate impact on their team. You can't even say Peyton Manning, because his first year, he didn't do that great. I mean, the Colts still went 3-13 or 5-11, or they did not do very good that year, and he threw more picks than touchdowns, and he was out there getting beat to hell. And then you look at Dan Marino, who came out immediately and did great. So that's very rare you'll see that happen. And the only other person I can think of that did that was Andrew Luck, who immediately came out, Colts went to the playoffs, and he made the team better. It's not easy to do something like that. So take it from me. Phillip Rivers is an iconic example of someone who waited for a couple years. The third year he came out, played, and he did great. He did great. And props to Phillip Rivers. He will continue to be the quarterback for years to come, and he's going to last a lot longer because he didn't have 2 years of getting beat up. That's the other thing, too. If you get thrown in the line of fire immediately, chances are you're not going to last as long in the league than if you waited a couple of years, rested your body because you were a backup quarterback. Think about it that way. Now, we have number 7, and this may seem controversial, but hear me out on this one. My number 7 is Tony Romo. Tony Romo had probably his best year ever last year. I think he threw 33 touchdowns or something like that. I don't actually remember off the top of my head, but he did very well with a not great defense at all. And he kept the Cowboys in the playoffs all the way up until the end. And it was all Tony Romo because DeMarco Murray got hurt. Okay, you had Dez Bryant. And that was it. Yeah, you had Jason Witten too. All right, I'll give you Jason Witten. Jason Witten's a great tight end. But Tony Romo has continued to produce at a consistent rate, and I like him at number 7 because I think he's just going to continue to maybe not get better, but he's going to just continue to be on that same level throughout the rest of his career. He's a great quarterback, and coming from an undrafted rookie that was picked up and was forced to start due to Drew Bledsoe injury, he's done a phenomenal job. And everyone hates Tony Romo because he's bad in the clutch. I don't think he's bad in the clutch. Are you kidding me? Just because he threw 3 touchdowns and then he threw 1 pick that ended the game, all of a sudden he's bad in the clutch? Like, you can't base a quarterback on how good he is in the clutch completely. You have to base it off of a lot of different things. And when I look at Tony Romo, I see a very good quarterback. And number 7, I think, is a perfect spot for him. Yes, he doesn't win very many games. He's only got 1 playoff win under his belt. But I look at the rest of the Cowboys team for that. I mean, their defense has been shit for a long time. And now they got rid of DeMarcus Ware. Their secondary, oh my God, has got to be one of the worst friggin' secondaries I've ever seen in my life. Look at Tony Romo in general. He's a good quarterback. He really is. And if he played for another team, like, I don't even know. Let's say he played for the Colts or something. That team could be it could be even better. Or if he played for, like, the Chiefs, he would do great there. So, that's my number 7. Number 8, I'm not quite sure if I want to keep him at number 8, but I'm going to keep him there for now. Eli Manning. Eli Manning had a really bad year last year. I'm not afraid to admit anything like that. But Eli Manning, coming right out of the gate, playing pretty much right away. Well, Kurt Warner played for him for a little bit, but then he came out and started playing. Eli doesn't have the stats, really, but he's still a very good quarterback, and I think he's very underrated. I think this year, he can do good. He can do very good. I mean, if I look at the receivers that are around him, he no longer has Hakeem Nicks, but he does have Victor Cruz. That has helped him a lot. He has Ruben Randall, who's kind of but we'll see how that goes. Hey, who knows with Ruben Randall? And he's got not the greatest running backs, but he does have a decent secondary that's helping him. I think their secondary is great, the Giants, which is unusual to think. So if you look at the team as a whole, and then you look at Eli Manning, I think he's made that team much better. I mean, they've won 2 Super Bowls thanks to him. He's one of the best players in the playoffs with such a shitty record to come out and make it to the Super Bowl. He's a good player. And I think he deserves being at number 8 because the teams that he's been surrounded by weren't always awesome. Like the 2011 when they went to the Super Bowl and beat the Patriots a second time. They weren't ridiculous. The defense wasn't ridiculous. You know, they just came out of nowhere. And I think Eli helped a lot there. And I see him rebounding from next year. I hope so. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's got a lot to offer. So that's my number 8. Number 9, Andrew Luck. Now, he's a young guy who's only played 2 years. I totally understand that. But the production that he made last year alone has made him one of the best quarterbacks in the league. First of all, he threw single-digit picks. It's not easy to do. At least I think he did. I really hope he did, or I'm going to look like an idiot. That's not easy to do in the league. I hope you realize that. It's not an easy thing to throw less than 10 picks. It's very freaking difficult to do something like that. I'd just like to mention that. That's first of all. Second of all, if you look at Andrew Luck, now he came off of a Colts team that did not have a good defense. They had Reggie Wayne and no one. They had 2 rookie tight ends and an offensive line that was average at best, and a running back who wasn't that great either. So, you look at that team as a whole and you think, man, how do you win with that? Well, they also came off a 2-14 season where Peyton Manning was hurt, and that shows how much Peyton Manning meant to that team. Andrew Luck filled the role pretty nicely, I would say, and has done a phenomenal job. Now, he does... He is young. He's got a lot to learn. But I definitely think he's a top 10 quarterback right now. I definitely think so. Because he's got the poise, he's got the power and accuracy to be a top 10 quarterback. And you know what? In a few years, he may even make it up to the top 5. I think. Once these top three retire, I think he could. Andrew Luck is a good quarterback, and I'm not basing it off of his future potential. I'm looking at what he's done already and what he is doing now, not future potential. Future potential, people will put him at number 1 because he's got more future potential than Peyton Manning, some may say, because he's going to be in the league for another 10 years and Peyton will not. I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at what he's done already, and what he's done already is had 2 very good seasons already. He came out of the gate starting, and he had 2 very good seasons, and he's made the Colts team much better. So I say he's at number 9. I mean, the quarterbacks in the league this year, there's a lot of shaky predictions. Number 10, my final pick, Matt Ryan. Now, the reason Matt Ryan isn't better than Andrew Luck is because Matt Ryan has had a lot of help. Roddy White, Julio Jones, Tony Gonzalez for a very long time, and you can even say Harry Douglas, who has really emerged as a player. Even when he started playing in the league, they even had a pretty good defense at the time. And the offensive line clearly kept him upright. He's had a lot of help. And this year he had Steven Jackson, who didn't do that great, but I think he'll rebound. And he had Michael Turner at the time, who was producing something like 17 touchdowns in one season. He was unbelievable for them. So if you look at it in a whole, Matt Ryan is definitely number 10. I think he's a good quarterback. He's just had a lot of help. And if you look at Andrew Luck, he hasn't had quite as much help. He's had Reggie Wayne, and that's it. If you look at Matt Ryan, I named them all off for you right there. Michael Turner, Roddy White, Julio Jones, Tony Gonzalez for a lot of his career. All 4 of them for a lot of his career. He's had a lot of help. Now, that doesn't discount what he's done. He's still a very good quarterback. I think he's one of the best in the league. That's why he's number 10. I wouldn't put him at number 10 if I didn't think he was still a good quarterback. I'm just saying he's had a lot of help. That's why he's not as high as some people would say. So, there's my list, guys. I did not think it would go that long. But hey, you never know sometimes. So that's my list on Friday. Maybe Friday or Saturday, me and Jake are going to debate our list, because I've never seen his. I don't know what if his is exactly the same as mine. I doubt it, but hey, you never know those things. And then next week, maybe we'll do running backs, maybe we'll do receivers, maybe we'll do something video game related. I don't know. We'll see what happens. So I thank you guys for listening and watching, and if you have any thing you want to say about the list, or you have your own opinions, please comment. Let me know. Let me know what you think. I will talk to you guys later. See ya.